Fox News alert, Israel launching a targeted strike against Hezbollah in Beirut, killing 14. The IDF confirmed the strike killed top Hezbollah commander that the U.S. says was behind the 1983 Beirut barracks bombing that killed more than 300 Americans. Here with reaction, former State Department spokesperson Morgan Ortagus. Morgan, I think I'm just going to bring you into a conversation I've been having with Pete off camera. Tell me this, how connected to the story earlier this week about pagers and walkie-talkies blowing up do you think this story is? In other words, do you think those pagers were not just used as explosive devices, but as tracking devices that now led to this third strike?
Potentially, for sure. I mean, what you've seen is something absolutely brilliant by the Israeli intelligence services, by the IDF. They have been reportedly working on this operation, the pager operation, for 15 years. So I know Pete's been a part of this type of thing, as have I and others. You know, an operation that you start planning 15 years ago is just kind of unheard of when planning. And so the amount of foresight that it took to plan this and to be able to sit on this op. So that means that they were sitting on it for years and years and years, collecting information and just waiting for the right moment. What's really important to know is, why is Israel going after Hezbollah? So we've heard a lot about Hamas in the south. They, of course, perpetrated the attacks on October 7th. But what people forget is probably close to like 80,000 Israelis who live in northern Israel, so that's near Lebanon. They have been unable to go home. They have been internally displaced since October 7th. And Bibi Netanyahu, the defense minister Gallup, they have warned time and time again that they had to have the ability for Israelis to go home in northern Israel and to leave peacefully. It's also been reported, I would note, that Hezbollah was planning a massive attack on northern Israel, and so that's why Israel did these pager attacks and did these other missile attacks that went after the head of all these forces. It's important to know they've killed almost 500 Hezbollah operatives since October 7th. And in the last week, they have gotten the heads of the Radwan forces, which are the most elite, sophisticated Hezbollah fighters. They're taking out the top of the organization, and very precise targeted strikes, whether it's through the pagers or through what we saw yesterday and overnight. So when Bibi Netanyahu said and warned Hezbollah and said, our Israeli people are going to be able to go home or else, I think he meant business.
Well, how decimated would this, or how big of a dramatic impact on Hezbollah would these strikes be? We saw the numbers. So are they significantly crippled after all of these strikes?
Yes. It's significant because it specifically went after the top of the leadership. Now, Hezbollah has, unfortunately, they are the Islamic Republic of Iran. It's their #1 terrorist group. We know Iran has terrorist group that they fund around the region, but Hezbollah is what Iran considers the one that sort of guards their nuclear program.
Right.
And so Hezbollah is the crown jewel for Iran. So taking out such top leadership, and by the way, it's also a psychological operation. You know, the fact that it was their pagers that went off. Now it's inside, and there were follow-up operations, by the way, with their walkie-talkies. Right. So it's inside their head as well. I would say, though, I would warn, the Biden administration is taking a really dangerous approach on this. Just yesterday, the guy in charge of the Middle East at the White House basically said that they disagreed with Israel's tactics and going after Hezbollah, and that they needed diplomacy in order for the Israelis to get home to northern Israel. Right. It's a load of hogwash. Our strongest and our closest ally in the Middle East is not even telling the Biden or Harris about their operation until afterwards, because the Israelis do not trust Biden and Harris with operational details to go after terrorists in advance. I think we need to really let that sink in.
Right. I think my final question, which you've already answered, though, so I'll just highlight, is why now? Because if you've if you've been working on something for 15 years, that's stunning. So what predicated the execution of it now? And you told us that Hezbollah was in the process of an operation against Israel. Always good insight. Thank you so much, Morgan Ortagus.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.